and stand the battle stations.
Hello and welcome to my first Kahs-wan reviews. I call it that when it's a trial to review something, and this is definitely a trial. I am Anti-Derivative Jill, and today I will be sharing some of the thoughts I had while watching this latest episode of Star Trek Patrick, Season 2, Episode 1, Stargazer. Before I get into that, I wanted to say hello to everyone in the chat and on the panel. So, hello, Raymond Feliciano.
Hello, Jill. Thanks for having me. It's an honor.
You're welcome. And thank you, Sandra Feliciano and Bird of Prey 5, who are in the chat today. While I go through the review, I will leave pauses here so you can share something if you think of something. And I guess I'll begin. Let's see here. I'm really happy for all the people that I see who are enjoying this, but I'm very sorry that bringing back some beautiful ships, original Trek music, and the captain's on the bridge whistle, which is just toying with your emotions, just wasn't enough for me to see past everything else that happened in this episode. I played the Red Alert clip that features the real Jean-Luc Picard, because if Captain Picard knew about this imposter who was going around stomping on his name, he would have a word with him, at the very least. Yeah, maybe even a staff conference. But the fact is, he wouldn't stand for this man living in his old house where the last of his family died a horrific death in flames. Yeah. Given that, going into this, we know this isn't real Star Trek, which is the only comfort, except that Paramount keeps branding it as such. Also, Picard is no longer human. He is just a carbon copy implanted into the replicant-like android body that they conveniently had laying around last season. Then account for the fact that this season 2 is all an illusion because the alien flower robots received the call, and just because you hang up doesn't mean the creators of the telephone don't know how to call back, as we saw in a recent Dimcock video. I had remembered thinking that when I first saw it, but he reminded us of that just recently, which was a very good thing. Not only that, it is an alternative universe. It's an alternative franchise altogether, because it's always trying to be something it's not. Pulling from other franchises that it deems to be more popular, like soap operas and fantasy tales. Yes. Oh,
the
yes.
25% different excuse only gets you so far.
Right, and because they have that 25% different, most of it still looks that way. And even though now they're combined, it's still 75% different.
Mm-hmm.
While watching, I tried to hone in on any elements that come directly from real Trek. For a few seconds, we even get that. You have an intruder alert, life support, and power system failures. But then you have this camera that is shaking all over the place and not focused, just to give a false illusion to the audience that is stuck on their phones that action is taking place.
I'm looking at that slide there. I'm looking at whatever that is. I'm like, what is that spider?
Oh my God. Well, you're about to find out.
Okay.
So then they call the security team to the bridge, which is fine. That's great. And I will mention things that they try to do, because you can tell that they actually did try to listen a little bit. So I'm going to be pointing those things out too. As the inertial dampeners are going offline and warp core is about to breach, it's almost as if someone actually opened um, a Star Trek manual for the very first time. But then the ship automatically reboots itself. So I guess all the times that Geordi had to do that kind of thing manually makes him a chump. Or else this was done off screen. But that's just it. In the case of an imminent warp core breach, most Star Trek episodes know they need to cut to the engine room to give a little dialogue on the actions that the engineers are taking, because that's what we care about in a sci-fi show. But no, in Kurtzman Trek, no, all that stuff's too boring to listen to. Nobody wants to hear that. So the ship can just magically do all the things. So my initial thought seeing this scene was how much death and destruction had very little effect on my apathy, because we don't know anyone on the ship. Reimagine the scene instead, where we see crew members in the engine room, like I said, taking actions verbally and physically trying to avert disaster, or an ops officer trying to save someone from a falling bulkhead, something like that, maybe. Have a little imagination. Instead, we just get chaos just for the sake of it, as a trail leading up to the titular character. This man, Patrick, calling himself Picard, is first presented humped over in distress, which is a visual reference to his internal state for the entire show. And hello in the chat to Arabic Saunders. Welcome. Even up to this point, I was attempting my best to give this a fair shot. But then the captain gave a direct order for everyone to cease fire. But this order was ignored by everyone, resulting in what seemed like more death. The writers would probably say that they were shooting because they were scared and hate the Borg. That's exactly what they're saying, in fact. That's the message that they're sending out. But that's dead wrong. That's not right. In Starfleet, you have to be able to trust your officers to follow orders. And this one was a fair one, as their phaser was having no effect on the Borg Queen, as we learned later. We don't learn that now because they don't want you to actually be focusing on what you're watching. Agnes Girardi is also there, and you're not going to remember that name. That's the curly hair lady who murdered her boyfriend. Which since she did that, she should have been arrested for murder, or at least had a trial, or at least see, if you're going to let her off the hook, at least show it. And this episode tries to cast that off later as an alien influence. Aha, the doggy interlude. Okay.
Yeah, Picard's already got Snoopy agitated.
He's running.
Or I'm sorry, Patrick. Patrick's already got Snoopy agitated.
I'm so sorry, Snoopy. Yes, it's already getting me too, but I'm glad that he interrupted for a second there. But I mean, they tried to make it seem like Agnes, had some kind of alien influence on her, but I don't remember if that happened. But I'm not going to look back to find out, because all I remember is that it looked like it was murder in cold blood the first time I saw it.
Did they? Again, I never saw Picard the first time, but how did they explain who this Agnes person is?
How did they explain? Oh, well, I'd have to think back to season 1 to explain who she is. Yeah. She was like working for the Daystrom Institute. She was working with the cybernetics, and she's like a scientist.
Okay.
Then the Borg Queen transfers the bridge controls to somewhere. I guess to their own ship, but it's not mentioned. But I'm not going to watch it again just to find that out. All we're supposed to care about is that she's taking control of weapons and navigation, and you're just supposed to watch the action and forget the logic. Picard sets the ship to self-destruct, but according to my recollection, shouldn't there be a second commanding officer
Yes, it is.
providing authorization?
At least one.
At least one other.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Here, I need to take care of my child for just a moment. Raymond, could you vamp for a second?
Certainly.
Thank
Certainly. Hello, chat. I am the pinch hitter in the box. I didn't have the misfortune of watching Patrick, and I feel for Jill actually showing the bravery of watching this so that we don't have to. From everything I heard from Doomcock's reviews and other reviews, this is a show better off left alone. The violence, the gratuitous violence that you see in it, the lack of logic, as Jill has just said, it really does nothing to enhance the mythos of Star Trek. So I commend Jill for having the courage to watch this Drek, and hope. And if you do like it, if you're one of the ones that out there are liking it, more power to you. But it's one of these that I will not watch the episode. And please excuse me in the back. Snoopy is equally agitated. I do not know whether just the words of Picard is getting his dander up or what. But hopefully, once Jill gets on and can calm him down, we'll not hear the barking. And if you're liking her reviews, I want to see more of those. And please subscribe to her channel and hit the like button. Give some appreciation to Jill on what she is doing here and what we'll do in the future. So, okay.
Hello. Hey, thank you so much for that. That was perfect.
Hey, I'm the pinch hitter in the box.
Yeah, no
Snoopy helped too. He was out. He was giving the barking and stuff in the back. I don't know what.
Yeah. I don't think he likes.
Say again.
Oh, what's that?
You don't think he?
I don't think he likes Picard either.
Oh yeah, I agree. So, please continue.
Sure. Like I said, this episode certainly forgot about needing a second officer for self-destruct sequence. And it comes up again later, so I'll repeat this when we get there. So I'm guessing that because CBS and Paramount have now rejoined, that they don't have to worry about that 25% different thing anymore. So this season, they've started pulling in some real Star Trek stuff into not real Star Trek. They pulled in some pretty ships for this episode that look like they belong in real Star Trek, but not this.
No.
Because this isn't.
No.
These beautiful ships deserve so much better. This scene has more of a Star Trek look than anything in Kurtzman Trek so far, except for Lower Decks, who used a real Star Trek artist for their backgrounds. The thing is, all of this in both shows are superficial. Just looking good is not going to give you a good story. So then we cut back to Picard's vineyard house. And one of the things that always bothers me about him going back home to his vineyard is that the Picard that I know would be, spelunking in a cave, looking for some kind of lost artifact or something like that.
Mhm.
But he'd never go back home to make wine. But that's a thing that they're sticking to because of season 1. They probably know that now, but they're just dug into it.
Right.
And this whole thing, this whole episode is Patrick inserting himself into Picard. It's just gross. Anyway, here Picard and Laris is his Romulan servant. I don't know. She's like Romulan employee. Proceed to have the most ridiculous and bizarre soap opera conversation that I'd expect from maybe a Hallmark film. When it isn't full of word salad nonsense, it's giving off cliche high platitudes like, live every day like it's your last. Then try to flower it up. But what purpose is this scene even expressing? All it accomplishes is reminding me that Laris's husband died, but season 1 was so forgettable that I don't even recall that happening. Nor am I going to prolong my suffering by trying to rewatch to see where he died. That's how bad the show was. I don't remember somebody dying.
Yeah. And wasn't that word wasn't the phrase that you just used, wasn't that what his last line in Generations?
His last line. Oh, is that it? Is that
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, I mean that seems to me that was the last line as they were in the wreckage.
Okay, see, okay. There's an Easter egg there that I didn't recognize. Thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Okay, so that's the meaning of it. Member berries.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I noticed in the chat here that we have the random menace. He says greetings from the future. Oh, and I can actually do this. I forgot until like the end of the show last time. Oh, my battery is running low on my laptop. We can't have that.
No.
Okay. Divert power from the warp. Okay. Greetings from the future. There we go. Now I remember.
There we go.
And hello to Pleasant Valley Picker. Sorry in late. Maybe in background doing stuff.
Hello,
well, I'm glad
Pleasant
you're here.
Valley.
Yeah, it's so great to see you guys. Y'all improve my mood while I'm going through this. So thank you guys for being here. And the random menace says the actress herself is 60, so it is only 20 years difference between the two actors. Yeah, I'm not knocking the potentiality of that. Just the presentation of it.
Is there a picture of the two?
Oh, right. Yes, there is. Thank you so much.
Oh,
There we go.
I'm your first officer.
Right. Thank you so much, XO. So this is where we cut back to Picard's vineyard house. Okay. Yes, that's where I was. So here, Picard and Laris proceed to have that. Yes, there they go. So the weirdest thing. Well, I usually like when they try to expand the lore of another species, but this is just really weird. She says Romulans love, And when they lose that love, then they love even harder after that.
Uh,
Like, what?
yeah, that's my thought. That is my thought.
Then, aside from this weird flirting, she explains what this scene is all about. She confronts Picard about whether he looks toward the stars, uh, whether he's looking towards the stars, or if he's running away from them due to loneliness. And that doesn't really make sense to me because Picard is already not in command of Starship at the moment. So I'm not sure what she's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
What we're really hearing about is Patrick's loneliness because the point of the scene is just still nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
Part of me was hoping this scene was a hint that he was going to be taken into motion back to Captain so he could do what every fan actually wanted from the beginning of season one. Just spoiler alert, no, that doesn't happen.
Huh.
Then it continues to badger on my sense of reality when he says that part of him has to wait in line behind duty. Like he has to wait for love behind duty. But what duty? He's making wine on his vineyard.
Yeah.
Um, my he and and it part my mind wanted me to type right chasing love, but he essentially blows her off anyway. He's just sorry for himself. He's like, I've never loved because I've always been a captain, but now I
Oh,
think it's time to settle down. And that's not verbatim, but that's the feeling from the scene. But trust it's an accurate paraphrase. While we're not giving any reason to care about these two as a couple, because there's nothing to her character that means anything related to him. For instance, someone falling in love with the real John Luke would share some kind of interest, like the one he had with Vol. Sure, she was a tomb raider and a thief, but essentially she had very similar passions about those artifacts that Picard did, so that it was believable that they had a love affair,
mm-hmm.
despite her, not appreciating the law. In fact, that was kind of a fun dichotomy.
Yes, Vash was always my favorite potential love interest for Picard.
Gosh, yes, thank you for correcting me on that. I just went on memory. Anyway, this show gives us no real reason to care about these two. So, moving on. So, just as a notice, I'm only 10 minutes into the episode, and at this point, I'm contemplating my decision to watch this any longer. Here, I almost quit. I carried on and found out that Picard will give a speech. And here is the Kurtzman Goldsman Trek's big chance to give us our first real Picard speech in 35 years. Do you think they will succeed? 25 years, yeah.
Probably not.
Bingo. Well, well, we don't cut to that just yet, though.
Oh,
This severely attention deficit episode quickly jumps to a memory that flashes through Picard's mind. So now some more drama stuff. More drama.
ooh.
Okay, so he has a flashback to his childhood where he's running around the house because it's pretty cheap to run around an empty house when everything is protected by blankets. Okay, you can film here, but I'm going to need this building back by 7 to show my clients. I don't, I
That's
don't
a
really,
good.
thank you.
That's
I don't
good.
actually know that it was produced this way, but that's what I thought. His mom referred to him, she gave him a nickname, Magellan, for having run off without her. But nobody ever called me that when I was a kid, and I broke away from the field trip group. Um, they were they were just upset. It cuts to the older Picard picking up the roses as he and his mom painted at some point. I don't know. They painted the bond in some kind of greenhouse thing. I didn't explain that. Anyway, I was like, fine. He and his mom spend some time here and presumably look at the stars, right? Because it's a greenhouse. So that alone would be cheesy, but I could see that being all right if that's how it ended. But it's not, because the next thing that Picard says is, "Will you fight less here?" This is him as a little boy, because we learn that his dad, this has never been announced ever before, beats his mom. So immediately they
Really?
have they have to retcon Picard's past to include the trauma of domestic abuse.
Oh,
And, and this is why Raquel calls it the filth.
yeah.
I mean, it unnecessarily drags Picard's father's name through the mud in order to give Picard the so-called true reason he went to the stars. It's
He that acts. Sorry, Jill. I just have to interject. That actually throws the fact that his his sibling rivalry meant nothing.
precisely
I mean,
like,
that
why
to
why
me,
were they fighting when their parents were the ones fighting? They should have been
yeah.
more unified
Uh,
against their dad.
I could,
That's why I say that it's sick and wrong.
yeah. Uh, yeah.
This this was supposed to be the man who Robert Picard looked up to and quoted and admired in terms of wanting to keep his traditions.
Mm-hmm.
But why would he honor this man who does this? But no, Picard's dad was not, in fact, about keeping tradition away from technology, but about beating his wife. And we get this occurring in a fast spinning cut, like, but it's fine because I really don't want to see that.
No.
You know how they do really fast violence and spinny cut thing that
Mm-hmm.
JJ does. That's
Yes.
what they do there. It's not good.
Yeah. I like what Pleasant Valley Picker says in the chat where it says, "Never loved because I'm a captain," and he never researched Kirk's career.
Oh yeah. Let's see here. How did her husband die again? I don't know. I don't know. I'm so sorry. I don't remember. I don't know if it's in season one or if this happened in between the year and a half. Maybe it's like in some book or comic or somewhere, because this franchise wants you to go buy their books and comics, but nobody's going to do that.
Oh.
Anyway, yeah, she is beautiful, Arabic Sonder. Definitely. He's talking about the Romulan
Mm-hmm.
lady, Laris. Oh, and here is hello, pop culture curator. And thank you, Sandra, for being here. And Arabic Sandra says Picard belongs with Beverly. Yes, it's funny how we don't really hear much from Beverly, do we?
No.
That's a very good point. Never loved because I'm a captain. Says Pleasant Valley Picker's Law. I guess Picard never researched Kirk's career. Yeah, precisely. That never stopped Kirk. But that's obviously not true. It's just, anyway. Kirk was, as Chekhov would say, maintaining good relations with the natives.
Yep. So true.
I love that. Man, you'd never get that line on TV today. Yeah,
No.
because people are against fun and life.
Yep. People are just generally in a bad mood.
And the Random Menace says Patrick Stewart was a victim of domestic abuse. his mom was. Possibly him too. I didn't consider that because usually when the father beats the wife, the violence does go down to the children too.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, man, random things. And since Stewart is producer, yeah, that's a
That is a very depressing thought that he could.
yeah. That is sad. If that happened to Patrick in real life, I'm really sorry for him. But why do you have to put it in my Star Trek? um, okay. Hello, Dalek451. Thank you so much for being here. I think Picard talked about his father in season 5 or 6 of TNG. He regretted not having a better relationship with his dad before he died.
It must have been in season 6 because we just got done with 5 and I don't remember.
Yeah, no, we haven't gotten to that. And we'll get to that. And I guess that's the time I can mention that every Saturday, if you want to go through some of the real Star Trek, every Saturday you can go ahead and head on to Clobber and Time's channel with First Officer Raquel and Captain Cobby, where they go through the 735 real Star Trek episodes. So every Saturday at 9 p.m. Central.
Nice segue.
So we should catch up to you pretty soon, Dalek. Pop Culture Curator asks, then did Picard beat Wesley?
Now that was his mom, the old infamous
The slap. Right. When everybody was being manipulated by not being able to sleep. Yeah. So because they couldn't have them. Okay, so that's the thing. There's bad stuff in real Star Trek too. But even the bad episodes in real Star Trek come nowhere near close to messing things up as bad as this does. Anyway. Of course.
Okay, so now we've got the domestic abuse trope.
Yeah. Sandra Feliciana says, he did say that, but it was not in the context of abuse. His dad didn't understand his dream to go into space rather than stay on the family vineyard. Thank you, Sandra, for that clarity. And Sandra further adds, Wesley could have been used a bit of the Board of Education to a seat of knowledge. Oh.
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah, because Beverly says she'd never done that before. Not that she should be slapping, but Sandra is talking about spanking.
Yep, spanking.
So Pleasant Valley Picker CA says, I'm guessing our current age is kind of like the 1950s again. Seems so much is taboo now. I remember in the 70s, any topic could be discussed among adults. A great decade when folks weren't afraid of words. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you. All right.
So true.
So, even so, speaking of real Trek again, even when things were dark and bleak, Deep Space Nine during the war, Starfleet still held it together with updates, changes of strategy. They talked logically, and at the very least, they had hope despite being in a war.
Yes.
And here we just get the devastation, despair, and drama. Because I guess they must have complained too much that it is too difficult to write Star Trek according to any of the previous Bibles that have ever been made.
Right.
Hell, I don't even know if this show has one, but if it does, I don't know if I want to read it. They can only write pain and trauma.
Mm-hmm.
This whole thing is just to retcon Picard's reason for attaining being a captain and then an admiral. It's not for seeking out new life and exploring. The real reason, according to this filth, is that he was using the stars as a security blanket. Now, I can actually already hear the arguments for this in my head, because there's a bit of past continuity in real canon that mentions how people would describe him as reserved. So why was he so reserved? Reserved does not mean traumatized.
Mm-hmm.
Trust that if this were meant to be so, it would have come up in the Next Generation episode.
Mm-hmm.
Bam. You said it, Snoopy.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. He has stuff to say too.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Yep, and most of it is probably get this off the air and give me a treat.
He needs a treat. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, again, it's being manipulated that Picard only loves the stars because he stared at them when his dad was beating up his mom. This episode makes a passing and very dismissive play at mentioning Picard's real motivation, which was to explore for the good and protection of mankind. That's why his mom just nicknamed him Magellan for running off, as if to say, see, here, his mom is calling him an explorer. Now let us please retcon some traumatic drama into his past, please. At this point, I don't even know why I'm doing this to myself, because all this happened and we're only 12 minutes in.
Ooh.
Lorena Mendez says, my comment expressing my desire to punch Will Wheaton was removed. Well, oh, yes, I can't really pay as much attention to the chat as I do when I wrench. So I think maybe YouTube might have nicked that.
Yeah.
Anyway, Pleasant Valley Picker says, sadly, it seems so many nowadays just want to see life as dark and divisive. I just can't be a negative person. The world isn't perfect, but it's still beautiful. Thank you.
Good words. Good words, Pleasant Valley.
Agreed.
There is way too much negativity.
And Sandra says that YouTube will remove things it doesn't like. They will even remove wrench comments. Yeah, and I guess YouTube doesn't like punching Wesley. I guess. Everybody's different.
Yeah. Poor Wesley. Not.
All right. So, yeah, poor Wesley. Also, look, here we cut back to space. We witness a starship bump into this anomaly, like it's bumping into a brick wall. So I have to assume that's because the ship lost sensors, or else they would have dodged or stopped before reaching it, and it's green. Gee, I wonder what is it? Right? I know, right? Gee, it's green. What is it? It's the Borg. Because we were told it was the Borg in the promos. So if they were in any way trying to have a mystery angle here, it failed already for that.
Mm-hmm.
So USS Avalon, or the ship with no sensors, somehow still could detect the anomaly, but I guess, yeah, not with the sensors though, because they smashed right into it. It's too bad it is the Borg though. I was hoping for a second that they were going to address the real issue, which is the robot flower aliens from season 1, who know how to reach this dimension now, and have been biding their time to finally come and put New Trek out of its misery.
Mm-hmm.
But alas, that's not what happens.
Yeah.
All we learn in this scene is that the anomaly is eating space-time. And I presume also the ability for starships to accurately use their sensors. However, that's all the budget allowed for a scene in space. So we cut back to Earth and Starfleet Academy. Oh, well, oh, wait. Yeah, that's what happens first. Okay, so before we do that, Laris made Picard some tea without knowing where he was. So I guess we're actually cutting back to the vineyard, where he was. So by the time she finds him, it's cold. But at least this time it's not decaf, I guess. So this is the real point in the episode. Oh, I just need a moment here. I gotta blow my nose.
Okay. Pleasant Valley says, how can bopping Wesley be a bad thing? Poor Wesley, I almost feel sorry for him. Why?
Oh, Joseph clarifies. I did not say Wesley. I said Wheaton. He is a despicable human being. And Pleasant Valley Picker CA says, how can punching Wesley be a bad thing? Poor Wesley. I almost feel sorry for him. Yeah,
Nah, I don't. I don't.
Okay, so Laris is making tea. The real point in the episode, at this point in the episode, I actually learned her name for this review. It's presented as if he's been looking for a particular book for hours, and Laris is like, you dummy, it's right here. Anyway, I almost had a notion that this would be a good scene about the book, but now it quickly devolves back into the soap opera nonsense. They talk about the flirting that they had in the other scene, and she backpedals everything she said the night before, saying that it's just too awkward. So the whole last scene was for nothing anyway. So why did they even include it? I guess just because she's so beautiful. I hate this stupid sitcom will they won't they tripe or trope, but I also definitely mean tripe. It has no meaning whatsoever. Again, there's nothing in common between these two that gives me any indication of romance. She's beautiful, I'll give her that. But then she chastises him for being late, even though transporters exist. And that made me fantasize. It just made me, because lots of times during this episode, I just went off and daydreamed about what could have been. I I I, I thought maybe that in that whole big house, Picard would install a transporter room. And you can't say now that he has to honor his dad's wishes of not adding technology to the home, because now he's been made into a villain. And plus, even the original Picard never agreed with him on the dangers or the faulty of tech. So that's why he would have never ended up back here at the vineyard. But I'm just going back to things I was saying before. So
Yeah, why? If they're doing the bad daddy trope, that would be the last place he ever showed up.
Exactly. He wouldn't want to live there where every day he wakes up and remembers his mom getting beaten. Why would he live there? Okay, anyway. So in the next scene, I just put this here because the stupid solar panels. Anyway, you guys know. So in the next scene, Picard first he's doing the speech we were talking about before. And he uses the iconic lines, space, the final frontier. But he changes it to say, the real final frontier is time, but space is inexorably connected to time. So you're kind of just being redundant, not wrong though. Then he says, what do we do when a crisis weighs on us less heavily than what we wish we had done? Which is just another way of imparting an old philosophy that you regret only what you haven't tried. Okay, that's nice. So tell us a story about that specifically, Picard, so we can care more about that statement. But no, he doesn't. It just deflects to the Romulan Elnor, who somehow graduated from the academy in a year and a half.
Okay.
And Elnor is that guy. So then he continues his speech, telling everyone to go boldly into the future, freed from the shackles of the past. Wait, why would he say they should be freed from the shackles of the past? I get that you shouldn't dwell too much on the past, but it is absolutely vital that you remember it, because those who refuse to remember history are destined to repeat it.
Exactly.
Basically, if you don't look back on your past, you're likely to make the same mistakes over and over again. Like a certain franchise that continues to hate Star Trek and infuse that into every episode. Because I also took that as meaning free yourself from the shackles of real Star Trek so we can continue this story. And that thought just didn't make me feel very good. Especially since we're not really getting much of a story so far anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So then he talks about how all of his family is gone and brings up a certain member of his past, a certain captain of a ship from the past, back when we were only exploring the solar system. It would have been, this would be like a cousin or something from a long time ago when we were first just exploring the solar system. And it actually made me wonder that it would have been kind of great to have seen maybe a series like that, um, without Secret Hideout and with some real sci-fi fans. We might even have gotten Star Trek's version of The Expanse, maybe. In fact, this tangent that I went on that I had to pause the episode thinking about. It sounded way more interesting than anything going on here, especially because they named the starship captain Renee, indicating that Robert was, this would have given a positive spin to the family past, indicating that Robert was not so adverse to Picard having gone off to explore, at least in some ways. But do we delve into anything like that could actually be good to the soul like that? That's only where I went. But those are the types of tangents I went on because I actually wanted to be watching some science fiction.
I will say I like, if there's anything good to say, I do like that arrangement of flags. I like the Bejor. Looks like Bejor joined the Federation.
Yeah, they have a lot of visual eye candy for people who are just on their phones, just not really listening, but looking like, look, there's real Star Trek. There's real Star Trek right there.
Yeah.
Like, it looks great. I'll agree with you. The flags look great. That's totally true.
Yeah.
And that would be great that Bajor finally joined.
Yes.
But we're not getting that story, are we?
No,
That would have
no,
been
we're not.
That would have been another great story too.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, did anyone? Okay. Thank you, Raymond, for killing that bot. Oops, I shouldn't show that. I won't do that anymore.
No, I got him right away.
The Borg are infiltrating.
Yes.
Wow, the Golden State Bridge. The Solar Bridge, yes, the Solar Bridge.
Yeah.
I have more notes on that later. Pleasant Valley Picker says, I think it's easier to write conflict than romance. Conflict has a certain set of parameters that you can draw on. Romance is much subtler, as the human heart is so complex. And Pleasant Valley Picker continues saying, shackles of the past. I find that statement quite silly. Learning from the past frees us. It doesn't shackle us. I cringe when I hear statements like that.
Well said, Pleasant Valley. Well said.
Oh, and then he finishes his speech quoting his mom, who told him, look up, Jean-Luc, and let's see what's out there. I have nothing actually bad to say about that. Without the context of spousal abuse, that could have been sweet, if not cheesy. But with it, the cheese is pretty rotten.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So then we move on. The warehouse ship, La Serena, and its many lens flares. She's busy. 7 of 9 is busy bullying the ship's hologram. But then what we realize is that she wasn't really doing that. It was someone was calling her a freak and a Borg. So there was like some infiltrators on the ship. And we don't know or care about these infiltrators. And I certainly don't, since they have lasers instead of phasers. So what's the deal with them? He and his partner apparently want some medical supplies, but Seven says she needs them for the Fenris Rangers. Okay, can you help me just for a moment, please?
Sure. Um, while she's taking care of business, Random Menace says, "Please do a Discovery review. I keep falling asleep during these episodes. I need a summary." I don't know. Discovery is such a abomination to sentient thought. I think anybody doing reviews of that would, without a helmet, would be going half insane, and we would probably end up pushing the button. But going back to Pleasant Valley Picker CA thing about writing conflict and romance, as an author, I would tend to agree. However, there are ways you can do the romance, as long as you don't make it cringy. So.
Oh man, no, this is tough enough for me. The randomness. I think I would die if I had to do some Discovery of these.
Without a helmet, it would be very dangerous, Jill.
I will redirect you to Bird of Prey 5's Discovery reviews. He does a more than competent job. Anyhow, so Seven and the infiltrators they want some medical supplies. That's where it was. And I'm wondering, do I really even care about this scene? Are we actually going to care about these people raiding ships for medical supplies at any point? Because that should never be an unfulfilled need in the Federation. They should know that all they have to do is ask, and they'll be provided with what they need. This whole scene is pretty worthless, except at least it indicates that she didn't kill these people, but I'm not exactly sure what's happened to them. I think maybe they sent them back to the ship, or I don't know. What is the deal with their ship. We don't really talk to the people. Usually in a confrontation like this, you get to hail the other ship or talk to the other ship, or either leave each other peacefully or there's a fight. But that would have been interesting to see. That's standard Trek, but no. But anything interesting is not allowed.
Yeah, just like you get into the action without the context. It's like, come on.
Yeah, exactly. I don't get the point of this scene if we never actually follow up on everything. Like I said, we just see Seven fighting with the hologram, and the one thing I will credit the episode for is Seven having to take off the hologram safety protocols in order for it to be deadly. That is sound point, but at this point, this episode is just all over the place and has nothing of real value. And I want to say, let's see. Hello to I Love Food. It's great to see you here. You say, I don't know, current events show that humans can use the past to shackle the present for their own agenda.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yes.
It all depends on how you use history. You can use it for good or evil.
Uh-huh.
So Eric Sander says she beamed them into space. Okay, so she spaced them. Thank you. I wasn't sure. I was hoping on the side of sending them to the other ship, but no, she just spaced them. Okay, thank you.
How convenient.
That was just me being hopeful.
Uh-huh.
Okay, Sir Jacob, thank you so much for being here today, and you've shared me on the community. That
Welcome,
is so
sure,
nice of
Sergio.
you. Yes, welcome. Okay, and then the hologram says something really, really ridiculous. He says, a lifetime of humans reacting with fear and prejudice to your Borg enhancements may have inhibited developmentally appropriate relationship skills. What?
What?
No. Getting kidnapped by the Borg when she was a young little girl up until her mid 20s was why she had inhibited social skills.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Really?
um, and anyway, the show retconned all those social issues anyway that she had. So why is he even bringing it up? She doesn't exhibit that stuff anyway anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So did they just watch Voyager for the first time and finally realize they messed her up?
Probably. They're just they're it seems like they're pulling things out of their you know what
Yeah, exactly.
and seeing what sticks.
And then Eric Saunders says, and there's some precious memories from the past. Yeah. Then and then he continues, oh, that was a joke, anti-derivative Joe. I'm sure she beamed them back to their ship. Thank you. Okay, now I feel like Gary from Jim Cox Pop Culture Breakdown, and Eric Sander is telling me Santa Claus is actually real. Pleasant Valley Picker says, the knowledge of history can be used for good or evil, as knowledge can be. And hello and welcome to Darius Munchausen in the chat. I'm so glad to see you here. So, moving on. Oh, I had that too. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, they did have some real Star Trek words here. Like, great. You looked at something and copied it. Nice. Okay. So then we cut back to Soji, who is no longer the key to everything. So she's making vapid toast, saying things like, to open one's heart to another, to temper one's fear with trust, to offer friendship is an act of bravery. And this is coming from a person who pushed the button to destroy all of organic life last season. That says an awful lot about this show, that the only person taking time to talk about Starfleet values is a murderous android.
Mm-hmm.
So she's celebrating the end to the ban on synthetics and how she and her friends have been able to explore as a result. And apparently these sappy toasts are generated by a subroutine. All right, so that's copying Data, who had subroutines to be able to mimic emotions. And in the next scene, a replicant is flirting with Agnes, and I will say, at the very least, this scene does bring up her murder, but she indicates that she was cleared of the charge due to an alien influence. But I don't really remember season 1, so I don't know if that's true. But I'll give them the benefit of the doubt since I'm never going to verify it myself. If that was what they were doing, they did a very bad job of portraying it. So I'll at least say that. Anyway, she's saved from this awkward moment by a call from the Rios ship. And then she is welcomed on the bridge of a starship that looks like it belongs in real Star Trek, called the Stargazer. And they play some music, also only meant for real Star Trek. Then we see Captain Rios, who has to have a cigar in his mouth all the time, which smoking, Gene Roddenberry didn't want smoking on his show, but they don't really care about Gene. That's just one of the big things that he had. They don't care about him because Discovery STD made him a janitor and made him clean up human remains. So,
and even on Navy ships, you don't smoke in your duty section. They've got special locations to do smoking, and then you've got the smoking lamp lit. That's just no.
see,
No.
that just shows that they have a complete disregard for military, because if they just talk to anybody who actually served, they could actually add something like that. Like, yeah, okay, he wants to smoke, but maybe he's just mad that he has to come to this room to do it, even though he's a captain. That would have been cool.
Yeah.
Like, I would have had that's the kind of stuff I want to see and learn about. I like to learn about that because I've never been in the military. And
well, even back when you had the admiral cursing at John Luke, that would never ever happen in real life. Even no, that a senior officer cussing at a junior officer while on duty is just not acceptable, not appropriate, and should have never even thought about mentioning.
yeah. But something tells me they don't have a military consultant on here.
So true. So true.
So he tells Cammy that's to get there as fast as she can. That would be a fine thing to say, but he doesn't indicate her rank. Whomever is at the comms can't pick up what he's looking for, what the captain's looking for. He asks for defensive and offensive strategies from Lieutenant Erturn in case they need to fight. He has to investigate that spatial anomaly we've been seeing all episode, while everyone at home has to wait patiently for him to catch up to them, because we all know it's the Borg. So he's still figuring out the mystery that we already know the answer to. And then they have Captain Rios say Picard's line, "Make it so." They use that moment to make fun of the fact that he's saying Picard's line, as if Picard's existence is a shadow that they can never get away from. And you know what? That's the very first honest thing that I've heard this entire episode. You're damn right. The next generation era Captain Picard is a shadow you cannot get away from. Then we see a shot of the ship from outside, and for once, we get a view of a starship that's not riddled with lens flares. I will commend them for. I'll give them credit for that restraint this time. It looks right, like it looks like a, it looks like a real Star Trek ship, but it's in the wrong universe, of course. Of course, shooting in space is expensive, so we're back on Earth, well, where they still have the dumb solar panels on the Golden Gate Bridge, because that's more efficient somehow than fusion power. I don't know. They never explain this, and this is why I keep bringing it up, because it's just weird. But we're here to see Romulan Elrond be sent off to a ship, and we learn Picard is Chancellor to the Academy, which would have been a nice thing to have seen in season 1, but now it's just a little too late.
Mm-hmm.
And here I have the Random Menace says, either I have something for older women, or Seven is hotter than in Voyager and Loris. Yeah, they're both beautiful people, and I met Seven at the convention, and she was just really sweet and really loved my kid, and it was a good moment. Yeah, it was back before all this stuff happened. And Arabic agrees with the Random Menace. Seven and Laris are beautiful women. I'd bat for the other team if I could for them. But yeah. Darius says, I have subroutines for emulating human behavior. Pleasant Valley Picker says, never could get into Voyager. It had some great episodes, but too many annoying characters. Janeway was a really good captain, I suppose, but just found Kate Mulgrew grating to my ears.
Yeah, it would have been interesting if they had the original their original actress Genevieve Bujold. I hope I'm saying that right. Do Janeway.
Mm-hmm. And Pleasant Valley Picker says, just wanted to thank you, Jill, as you're watching it, so we don't have to. And you'll get more of this later on Pop Culture Breakdown with Doomcock.
Yeah.
Current Trek is just so dumb, it boggles my mind. And he continues saying, the sad thing is they could hire a consultant and improve the writing easily, but they just don't care. Lazy, lazy production.
Agreed.
Answer Jacob says, I've seen Star Trek records in the thrift store. Nice. And Eric Thunder says, I love Kate Mulgrew. She reminds me of Katharine Hepburn. And I agree. I never even knew that until I saw that movie with Katharine Hepburn. Something about the River Queen or something like that. You know the movie I'm talking about? Anyway, it was pretty good.
With Bogart, if I remember right. Was it Bogart?
Mm-hmm. I don't know, but it was free at the Alamo Draft House, and that's how I see old movies sometimes. So, again, however, shooting in... Okay, so yeah, they're back to... We were back at the academy, and we learned Picard is Chancellor to the academy, which would have been a nice thing to have seen in season 1, but now it's just too little, too late. And they talk about Seven and Rafi having broken up, but all we saw last season was small hand-holding. So we don't know or care about any of this. We saw Elnor is assigned to the Excelsior, which is, of course, Sulu's old ship. I think we also heard a cadet with the name of Sulu being called away to ship 2. That's fine. But this scene again reminds us how ridiculous it is that Elnor made it through Starfleet Academy in less than 2 years. So we find out that the book Picard was looking for that Laris found was a memoir written by Spock, and something like that would be touching if they got it right. Unfortunately, they put the wrong words into the Vulcan's mouth. They have him say, exhilaration enhances the absorption of knowledge. I believe that's too emotional. If you're going to make a Spock quote, go with his iconic word. He would instead say, fascination enhances the procurement of knowledge. Anyway, for this small moment, the episode gets a let's try cake, but Bard is still definitely throwing it away. Anyway, Raffi will be on the Excelsior to look after Elnor. Then Raffi and Picard stood at attention to one another, and I almost felt like they cared for a couple seconds. Then the couple seconds passed, and I remembered what I'm actually watching. Cut back to the Stargazer, to the Borg anomaly. So then I gotta do this. Oh yeah, the book. So it makes spooky Borg noises now, too, in case anyone out there still doesn't know what's going on. Some of the ship porn we actually get actually looks alright, and this type of thing, this is the type of thing that I think that is fooling many, many fans. I don't know. I mean, it's okay if you like it, but I just don't get how this alone is good enough. Just keep the Romulans in your mind anytime you see something from real Trek implanted into new Trek. It's a fake. You know.
Yes, it's a fake.
Thank you. Just to keep perspective.
Mm-hmm.
You do that better than me.
Oh, thank you.
More smoking happens. They're smoking some more. Anyway, comms Do I have a picture? No. We're not there yet. Okay. Comms Lieutenant Utern is describing the time anomaly yet again, as if we didn't know. I mean, because they have to repeat things over and over in this, because, writing dialogue is hard, so just repeat yourself. Lieutenant Singh, a Bajoran, reports that there's a signal, so they put it through the universal translator. All right, that's something nice, but that doesn't really do anything, so whatever. Oh, that's right. They need a completely wasted scientist to come on board in order for it to make sense. They can't give uh, they can't give this Lieutenant Urchin any new character. They can't build any new characters and give her something fun to do, and actually build a relationship with anybody on the ship. So instead, we get Agnes, who has to analyze this, and she pulls the signal into a waveform. And I feel like that's something those oscillations could be appearing to Lieutenant Singh as well. But then she analyzes, but I doubt we find out what that means. She just magically knows that there are dozens of languages in the transmission without explaining her method. The message is saying, help us, Picard, which will likely fool some of the very kind-hearted Star Trek fans. And I say this with love because this is our favorite thing. I love it when a Star Trek is out there in space, ready to assist a strange transmission emanating from a strange anomaly. But I get it. Uh, but we know that this message is coming from the Borg, so we should be considering this a trap.
Of course. And just hearing that, I transposed another iconic line. Help me, Obi-Wan, you're my only hope.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's probably the feel that scene was trying to give off, but it doesn't come across that way on screen. No. And Aravic says Elnor might be a genius like Spock. Okay, fair enough.
Well, Spock still had to do the 4-year program.
Yeah, right. He didn't get a shortcut either. And Pleasant Valley Picker says, agree with Genevieve.
Bujo.
She would have been Bujo. She would have played Janeway. She's Canadian and did some good work. I found her more appealing. Quite sexy, really. Guess I'm letting my male hormones affect my judgment. Oh, that's okay. We don't mind that here. You might hear a little music in the background. That's my baby playing her little toy. Do you think that's too disturbing?
No,
Raymond?
no, you're fine.
Okay.
It's fine.
Okay.
Actually, it's adding a certain ambiance, especially with as childish as this program is doing.
Oh, yes, baby. Thank you. Okay, and then he continues saying, I think Kate's a very good actress. Just something about her voice that bothers my ears.
I couldn't have said it better myself, Ava.
Yeah, she said it. Okay, so this is where we do this. We cut back to LA and Ted Ford Avenue, where Picard goes to the address 10, and you get the corny connection that he's going to 10 Ford to reunite with Guinan, except that 10 Ford refers to its placement on the ship. But I guess I could give this cheesiness a pass alone, but this is not really 10 Ford. I guess bartending was always the only thing Guinan ever wanted to do. I'm surprised they actually bothered to give an explanation on why she is so old. And it's because she chose to age, which means she's choosing to die sooner in order to make humans feel better. Well, they do come up with that explanation. It's not really a good one, but again, they did try. All of the fans came up with a better explanation. I don't remember who said it first, but someone said that the reason she should be older is because she ages until she doesn't. And all her politics, the actress, I'm talking about all that put aside, mostly because I choose not really to read about that stuff. I was just I was able to appreciate her acting in this scene. She's still got it. Everything she says actually honors what she did on Next Generation. And she's one of the few people who treat Picard with any real reverence aside from Elnor. I guess in this episode, we do see other Starfleet members actually standing at attention to Picard for the first time ever. That's a thing. I actually won't be discussing the scene further because it's one of the only ones worth watching, but do not watch the episode. I'm sorry. Can I take a break for a moment?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, let's see here. Let's go to can't bring them up. Yep, Jill's little one's in the background. Yep, and she's adding a lot more adult commentary than this episode ever will. Hope for. And Darius Munchauser says there is coffee in that nebula. Probably. Ervik Saunders says, I hear Mozart. Does it play Vivaldi like that toy they found in Voyager? I don't know. I actually wish I could have seen Genevieve's screen test, see how she would see how she would have done as opposed to Kate Mulgrew. And it looks like a year back. Nope. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, Guinan was. If you take away the actress, today's actress, Guinan was at the time, one of my more favorite characters in Next Generation. And it's fortunately I don't watch this one, so I have to compare. Hello, Joe.
Oh yeah. Oh, hello. Yes, I agree completely. I liked Guinan because she made a better counselor than the one we got on the show.
Yes, so true. So true.
And I mean, I wanted to say, don't watch this episode. Just wait for someone to upload it on YouTube if they haven't already. Stand alone from everything else if you just forget the rest of it exists. This is kind of all right to see. Starfleet Admiral Sally comes over to Picard's vineyard next in the next scene here. It's Starfleet Admiral Sally. I guess her last name is Sally. To tell Picard that they need him on the Stargazer, which again was something like that everyone was expecting for season 1. But she doesn't say it's because they need his expertise. In fact, Picard himself even says everyone else is better than he is. I mean, I'm exaggerating a bit, but he puts himself down a little. And she says the reason why is because the distress call specifically asks for him. So some of the dialogue of interest in the scene was, you said how it began? The balance of the message is the entirety of Article 15. So Article 15, they do answer what that is. It's an entreaty to enter the Federation. Okay, that's news to me. Wait, we know this message is from the Borg. So the Borg are asking to join the Federation? Is that
right.
a logical conclusion?
No.
No, this is nuts. And I don't see why anyone would want to welcome a murderous, genocidal species who has killed billions and enslaved more. It's been rightfully explained dozens of times that there's no negotiating with the Borg. But I guess that's the dumb crap we're getting. Anyway, he leaves to the Stargazer without saying goodbye to his Romulan friend. I guess there wasn't much. He didn't have much of a friendship with her at all. I mean, they could have had a cheesy scene where he was all like, I have to go now. Sorry to be so awkward. See you later. But no, they didn't even do that.
And it shows on that picture right there is that he just up and walked out on her.
Yeah, exactly. He did just straight left. So, I see in the chat here, I have a few more. The screen tests are on YouTube. Oh, the screen test for the actor, the original actor who was slated to play Janeway, are on YouTube for you to look up later. Agree. Would be cool to see a screen test. And Aravic says, right now there's beer in that nebula. I actually have heard about a nebula that contains alcohol. But I don't know if it's drinkable alcohol. I haven't looked that up. Guinan was good back then. Yeah, she was. Troy had the honorary rank of Captain Obvious.
Yep.
And Darius Munchausen says, I just looked up Genevieve. I don't know French, I'm sorry. Or
Bujo.
She's a cutie. Yeah, this episode has a lot of dots to connect. Yeah, and they're hoping I'm not supposed to connect them. I'm just supposed to see splashes of Star Trek and motion and stuff and look at this and this is the thing. Like, we don't have to change our wires, we just need to make it look good. So, that's what they're doing. I got a bot there. Somebody can smash that for me.
Already got it.
Thank you so much. Okay. So anyway, here we're back on the ship. Seven explains the construction of this version of the Stargazer.
How did Seven suddenly appear from whatever ship she was on before to here?
No, that transition is not explained, or we didn't
Magic
get
pixie dust.
Just magic, site to site transporter suitcases.
Yeah.
Why not? Okay, so about the Stargazer, she says, the Stargazer is the first of a new class of ship that utilizes components derived from research on the Borg Cube artifact. That's a thing from season 1.
Uh-huh.
And there are so many in Starfleet who fear the Borg. And I sense that my presence is increasing historic tensions and paranoia. So how could she even say that? That's a despicable accusation.
Uh-huh.
I believe the crew of the Voyager would like to have a word with her.
Mm-hmm.
She is essentially saying that the whole rest of Starfleet just ended up being a bunch of jerks who couldn't realize that she regained her individuality and is not connected to the Borg. They didn't realize that. So this episode is calling all of Starfleet idiots as well as jerks. Thanks, Seven.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So as Picard enters, they play the original series captain, the whistle thing with the bridge and the original music, because they no longer have to be 25% different. So we're starting to see elements from real Star Trek being shoved into this one, like, you shoving the incorrect shape into the wrong hole.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was tricked into thinking that this meant he would take command of the ship, but Captain Rios is still commanding. Even though Picard outranks. But Picard establishes communication with the Borg, and then they do something to the ship to make it seem like it has eaten a VCR tape. But what is really freaky about this Borg is that they refer to him directly as Picard, the individual, not Locutus, the mini. Then we get another shot of beautiful ships closing in on the Borg ship. This is a step up from the copy and paste fleet of ugly ships from season 1, where the flower robot aliens destroyed the universe. But of course, we all know that's window dressing. And in the heat of the moment, when they confront Picard, that they will do anything to get to him. And what rousing words do we get from our Admiral Picard? He just says, I don't know. Real inspiring. Then we get some confusing word salad. That out there could be the very point at which history turns. What history? What are you talking about?
What?
You can't be suggesting diplomacy with the Borg. It is as if these writers are taking their knowledge of the Borg directly only from Nemesis. And that's a very dangerous bet. I'm picking that movie. the only the only one who speaks any sense at all is Seven. She
Yeah.
says, the Borg consume, they assimilate. And then she goes on to explain the billions and how they killed entire races. They're a race of murderous beings who have killed, including her parents. Well, technically, her parents were assimilated, but that actually further strengthens her point because I suppose, if I'm giving this episode benefit of doubt, that Seven means that they're as good as dead.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, then there is a throwaway and unexplained line of dialogue that says that the Borg were somehow decimated and hobbled. But how much can that be true when they're able to rip through space time in a giant Borg ship? And that weird thing at the beginning of the episode that you're like, what the hell? That's the Borg ship. But they I guess it's a different kind of ship. You know, I'm asked to take their word for it, but I'm not buying it. Except that's how it's written. Agnes, or you know, the murderer, is worried that attacking the Borg will keep them from becoming an ally. Uh, if we're looking at a strong Borg ship filled with Borg, you get out and
Yes.
you go away and sort out the anomaly later. An ally? What in the hue is going on here?
Yeah.
They send the Borg Queen to the ship to negotiate, a thing Borg unequivocally do not do. At the very least, Captain Rios had the sense to not allow her on board. Seven has brains and wants Rio to fire, but instead Rios gives away all his intentions to the Borg quite directly. The Borg use this moment of weakness to penetrate the shields and transport onto the ship. And the Borg wear helmets now. Oh, and I need to show that.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's Picard going on the ship. He gets the whistle, the captain's whistle. Then there's the VCR thing. And there's the fleet of ships. They actually look like Star Trek ships, but don't be. It's just illusion. None of this is real because, the robots from season 1 destroyed the universe and all that. And, and there's Seven explaining that everybody's idiots.
Yeah.
And that is the Borg Queen.
That's no. What? Seven became the Borg Queen?
Okay, they send the Borg Queen to the ship to negotiate. I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know. I guess the production crew didn't get any memos on how to construct a Borg suit. They should have asked some really awesome cosplayers because, like I saw at the convention. But actually,
Oh
I
yeah.
think they did know how to do it last season.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what they're doing here. I really don't. I can't explain it. Then she connects herself to the ship, the Borg Queen, presumably to take control of weapons and navigation. That was stated at the beginning of the episode. Because you have to put the pieces together yourself, they won't do it for you.
That looks
Seven,
like one of the Klingons from Star Trek Into Dumbness.
I wouldn't be surprised if they reused their stuff. That's why they're selling all of there's an auction right now selling even more of the original Star Trek stuff because hey, we don't they're I don't want to talk about that. But I saw it. Seven tries to kill the Borg Queen, but she has a self-fulfilling plot armor, so some ensign dies instead. So then, since Seven starts shooting randomly, everyone else does too. So the Borg Queen shot at only the expendable side characters, and the captain asks to stop firing, like I said at the beginning. But again, no one listens, which causes more apparent death. But then we're corrected. No, the Borg's not killing anyone. For some reason, she's only stunning. So all those poor red shirts aren't dead after all. And here I was assuming that she was connecting the ships together so that they could be assimilated quickly. And that's what Picard assumes too. So that's why he calls out the self-destruct. Oh, let me use this. Okay. Even though there should have been another commanding officer to verify that command. I need just a quick break. I'm almost through.
Sure. Okay, so we got helmeted Borg that look like Klingons from that movie, and just this. I'm not going to steal Jill's thunder, but I have a thought as to what all this is. But would like to see what the Borg Queen looks like. Hopefully, she's got a picture of that. Good night, the Random Menace. Hope you enjoyed yourself, and we'll come back. And for anybody who has come on, please like and subscribe to the channel to show that you like what we're doing here. Well, yeah, I got that one.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much for getting that. And Pleasant Valley Picker says, the only thing I've come to realize about TNG is that in spite of a number of great episodes, a lot of it has not aged well. TOS holds up much better overall, even with some bad episodes in a weak season 3.
Yeah, I would buy that.
And Arabic says, negotiation is irrelevant. Yep, you sound a lot more like the Borg than what's going on here.
Yeah.
And the Random Menace says, it's 1 a.m. here. Need my beauty sleep. We'll finish this video after my beauty sleep. Thanks, Jill. And enter male name here. Good night, all. Good night, the Random Menace. Hope I caught you.
Random Menace.
Okay, Darius says, those helmets would have been more useful. That one time the Borg were walking around in the void of space.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, when they spaced all the Borg, and I was like, oh, they'll be okay because they can survive space. But no, the plot required them to die.
Yeah.
Arabic Saunders says, maybe it's a bunch of ex-Borg from season 1.
Yeah.
And Pleasant Valley Picker says, Into Dumbness sums up the film perfectly.
Yep.
Okay, so I got to find out where it was.
I want to see the Queen. Do you got a picture of the Queen?
No, that's all we get. This is all we get.
Oh.
Just wait a second, though. Okay, I'm going to start here. So for some reason, she's only stunning everyone. So the red shirts aren't dead after all.
Mm-hmm.
And here I was assuming that she was connecting the ships to be assimilated. And that's why he self-destructs the ship. And then, so the Borg are, for some reason, trailing with rainbows and unicorns because they have not arrived to kill or assimilate. The Borg Queen only stuns her victims. So the Borg Queen tells Picard to look up as if she's his mom, because there you go. That's it. The Borg Queen is mom. Is Patrick Stewart's mom.
Yeah.
It just wasn't enough for her to be beaten. She needed to be assimilated too. The self-destruct succeeds, and all the main cast is gone forever. For real this time, right?
No. I think I know what's going to happen, but I'm not going to steal your thunder.
Yeah, you do. Oh no. Q, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what he's doing, but that's it. You just said it. You just said it, even though you didn't say it. You knew it.
Yep.
Okay, so then Picard gets up, looking for the Romulan Laris, but instead she finds an android. And we get the main scene that everyone has seen because Paramount knows it's the only good one they have. John Delancey is a king and a scholar, and he's just wonderful. He's a wonderful gentleman and loves his fans very much.
Mm-hmm.
Given how kind he was when I had a photo op with him. On top of that, he's a magnificent actor, so he took whatever lines given to him. And I don't know or have any proof of this, but I feel like he had a hand in shaping some of them. Because after all these years, he still knows how to be Q.
Mm-hmm.
I never watched My Little Pony or anything, but I hear he is a character called Discord. That's a character that's very much like Q. Anyway, there's a few seconds in this scene where he looks young, and it looks pretty good. He sees Picard is old, and they catch up, and then he catches up to his age. And his charm just basically helped calm me down after all the terrible things I just saw, this whole mess that I just witnessed. And I know the show won't be any good, but I did enjoy seeing him, and I'm glad he showed up. Because I do like ending this thing on, something tangentially positive, even though none of this is real Star Trek. He is still Q. I'm not happy with the manipulation and the sickness that's infused into this episode, but I am happy to be here with all of you and finally able to vent about what happened to me when I watched this. Thank you.
You are most welcome, Jill.
Yes, thank you so much also, Raymond, for being here. I was a little nervous for this.
Oh, glad to do it. Glad you invited me.
Yes. I appreciate you being here. And I'll have to end this as soon as I say goodbye to my friends here. And Ervik Saunders says, they did end up on the android planet. I'm sure they helped the X-Borg. And he continues saying, well, Picard's memory is part of the Borg forever. Yes, exactly. And so if his mom were Borg, when did that happen? And has she just been ignoring him this whole time? She won't pick up the Borg phone. I don't know.
Yeah, that one was just bizarre.
Yeah, but and Plessy Allen Picker says, thank you, Jill, and enjoy your intelligent and thoughtful commentary. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yes. It was quite insightful.
Yes. And Ervik Saunders says, great show. And thank you, Anti-Derivative Jill. You're very welcome. I just had to share what I thought about it, and I'm glad you could hear it with me. And that's the end to what I wanted to say. And Sandra Feliciana says, good night, Anti-Derivative Jill. Very nice job tonight. Thank you so much. Yes, and one thing I haven't figured out is how to end these shows. So I don't know. Come back later.
We need Pudgy with his little with the little news thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I need something.
No, you did great. Thank you very much.
But you're welcome. I'm still happy even after all this because none of this is part of real Star Trek. We're part of the 735 Club. Mm-hmm. And so even though we can talk about this stuff, it's not really in our universe. And thank you to Darius Munchausen for saying, Jill, talking about Star Trek is great. Thank you. Thank you for that sentiment. And so I'm not going to let this stuff get me down, but actually talking about it made me feel a lot better. And thank you all for being here today. And I'll figure out something soon about my end title credits. Talk to you guys later. Good night.
Good night.
Oh, and Darius says, throw on a beat and do an outro with some outer tune. Oh, right. Okay, so I want to thank everybody who was here. So maybe I could say thank you to Darius Munchausen, Sandra Feliciano, Arabic Sonder, Pleasant Valley Picker, The Random Menace, and
Sir Jacob.
Sir Jacob. Yes, especially thank you to Sir Jacob because he said that he was sharing my stream.
And Bird of Prey 5.
And Bird of Prey 5, yes, Kapad, the Bird of Prey 5. He said that he would let his computer listen to my show, even though he has to listen to it later. So, Bird of Prey 5, I hope you can enjoy the show later on the replay.
And Dalek 451.
And Dalek 451 showed up too. I love that Dalek. He's great. And I Love Food was also here. Mm-hmm. All right. And that's everybody. Okay. Now I can say good night to everyone. Live long and prosper. Because that's the best revenge.
Mm-hmm.